How did Jimmy Longs come about?
Yeah, it was like 2001. I needed a handle, so popped up a adult entertainment name generator.
I was gonna make a comment like in junior high I went by Jimmy spelt that way, but I'm not saying that now.
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of just silly or something, and um, I just used it as like my AIM handle and my IRC handle forever, and then I tried to get rid of it once because it popped up on the wall of sheep at a DEF CON one year. And then on top of that, it got published in Wired, like a screenshot of the wall of sheep
With your name
in
on
Wired.
it.
So that wasn't super cool. But yeah, that's where that came from. Not the
I
not
assume I
the
assume your password on the wall sheep was also in the related genre.
no. It was no, it was my regular password that I use. No, it was a stupid Twitter client that wasn't using encryption like SSL. So
Interesting.
it was just super uber lame. It wasn't cool.
It's the same one as your domain admin to everything.
Yeah, it's the same password I still use, but no one's gonna go clear back to the wired screenshot. And the wall of sheep, it did like uh, mask out the passwords, at
Oh,
least portion of it, right?
right.
It was back when like the wall of sheep was live and it was like being populated with like live data.
Right.
I don't think it is anymore, but yeah,
What's
yeah.
how did you get into infosec? What is your origin story to this field?
Well, man, I've always been into it. It's basically the only thing I can do.
So
So
you're 3 year old, you just start hacking stuff, is what you're saying.
it was more like 6 or 7. So my dad was always on the computer, and it was like back in like Commodore. Like our first home computer was like a Commodore 64. For some reason, I really wanted to learn how to program it. So I was like this like 7 or 8 year old like going through the manual trying to figure out how to program like a Commodore 64. Like back in the days where you had to work with sprites to do any type of graphics and like this extreme basic and everything else like that. So yeah, that kind of just kept on going on. By the time I was like 12 or 13, I was building my own computers because my dad was a Commodore fan person, and I wanted an IBM to like or IBM compatible to like play games with my buddies and stuff like that. So built a PC. It was like an i386 33 megahertz DX uh,
And
initially.
and $30,000 worth of RAM to get 1 kilobyte.
Nah, I was poor. I had to buy all my I had to buy all my RAM. I did have a few megs on it. It was like what was it? It was probably like 2 or 4 meg or something. Wasn't much, but yeah, that was the first one. And then like out of the blue, like I was in my ninth or 10th grade, and I'd always wanted to learn Unix for some weird reason. I never had access to it until like Linux came out. Linux had been out for like a year or something like that, and so I bought like one of those first books. You buy those big old books, and they come with like all the floppies,
Right.
all the disk sets,
Now install
and
disk number 8. Go back to
yeah,
5, back to 6.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just kind of kept on going from there. To, I still really dig it. Probably a little bit tired of it, just because it's like day in, day out. That's what I do. Is like, so like some of that passion kind of like fizzles out a little bit. So like at night when I was in my 20s or whatever, it's what I did day and night all the time. Now it's during the day. It's my job. Maybe once in a while I'll have some side projects and different things like that. But I find like most of my hobbies now are completely unrelated to infosec stuff.
How do your kids do the same? How do you get kids? My kids don't care about what I do. They don't. I'm like, you can learn this thing, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Like, do you instill any of that into them? Do they want to like program, or are they like, oh, Unix? I really want to do Unix. Is that a thing anymore?
No, so my son he just turned 12, and like he's loves games like Roblox and different things like that, and he's trying to teach himself Blender, different things, and so oh there will be courses that pop up that we'll find that he wants to learn. Like, so we found a Blender course. And then I'll try to bribe him. I'm like, dude, I'll give you $20 if you finish this course and do everything in it. But even that doesn't work sometimes. Like one of them was he was learning what is that is one of the graphic engines that kids develop games in these days. I forget
Unity.
which one it was. Yeah, Unity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like found a Unity course for him. Some of that stuff I think is a little bit above his head currently, but so he didn't finish that course. But I tried to bribe him. Other than that,
Sidebar. That Android game that I made with a buddy, I did that on Unity, which is the only reason including sprites, add your sprites and map it out. But yeah, I mean, I have a hard time motivating the kids to like. They do a lot of Minecraft, so we make them like set up some Python scripts to like help build their own recipes and stuff. But I don't know. Besides that, I'm just changing their passwords and making them learn new words to log in to play video games. Like I don't have much going on. I could use advice there, but
yeah, no, same thing. Like he'll play a lot of games and different things like that. We try to say, okay, you gotta spend at least this amount of time learning something or different things. On the plus side, he reads like crazy. He's probably read like 10 times more books than I've ever read.
right.
Like, he'll read a book a day, and they're not like the small kid books. They're like Brandon Sanderson type books, The Way of Kings and stuff like that. So I mean, we kick him off the computer. He's like on the books.
That's great.
So
That's great.
yeah, I think it's I don't know. There's a little obsessive point to just about everything.
I wonder where you got that.
So
Speaking of obsessions and hobbies, what hobbies don't you have? You mill out locks, a lot of milling, not just locks, just milling, leatherworking. What else? What else you I know there's like 2 or 3 I'm missing there, but you pick a hobby and then you're like all in, right? Like you just go really at it. Not like you're going to buy a strip of leather and test it. You're going to buy the nicest thing and the nicest tools and then maybe make your own tools.
yeah, I got a couple cow worth of leather. I don't know. I do have a lot of hobbies. Well, lockpicking is actually like one of those kind of one of the main ones that I've had just forever. But I like making stuff too. It's like all the machining and different things like that, and making my own tools. I find that just as like I enjoy that as much as like picking locks.
I don't think people who don't know you don't appreciate your hobby, meaning I will do a thing to try it and it quickly gets thrown in the garbage because it's like, that's terrible. But yours are like production or as good or better than things you buy.
Well, part of the reason that I start making my own tools is because I'm not super happy with the ones that are available. So yeah, that's so yeah, that's why I kind of like started making my own tools. So like recently I started working on a disc detainer tool because I'm not the Sparrows one that came out is nice. It's okay, but it's lacking. I mean, I think it was at you were at was it ShmooCon earlier this year, and Harry was there, and he had his disc detainer that him and Bill made, or his pick, and I was like looking at it, and it was just like head and shoulders over anything else out there. So that's been my goal lately, the last probably couple months, is building disc detainer picks. So that requires a lathe. They had to get a lathe and figure out how to learn how to use that because I hadn't worked on lathes yet. But that is actually super fun. Bought a small little shear line, super accurate. It can be accurate up to about 1,000th on a lot of parts and different things. So yeah, it's been my latest obsession is kind of working with that, and my screensaver keeps on popping up.
How big is your garage work area now? Is it as big as your house? Like,
Oh man, no. So we have a 3-car garage. I use the third car for like my machines and the like kind of storage of like all that, my toolbox. Then I have like a small workshop with some tables and different things on that. But we're actually looking at properties and houses right now because I'm gonna build like a nice shop, something maybe like 20 by 30 feet or something bigger or something like that. So, but I got to find a bigger lot to do that on. So we're thinking like half acre or something somewhere, and like build that. That's my retirement plan actually. It's like I don't think I could retire and like stop working. So my thought is I'll get all my tools and all my machines and everything else like that, and then when I retire, like instead of retiring, I'll just help people invent stuff so I can keep them working and making things. Right. So that's my excuse. I'm just gonna like collect all my machines. Like I've been like looking at some wire EDM machines that would be pretty sweet. It's just I don't have like the room for that type of stuff just yet.
And you're talking about electric dance, right? EDM.
It's like no, it's like the electric discharge machines. It's like the most accurate way to cut metal. Like, period.
We glitched for a minute. The internet bumped us. When did you realize that, as you always tell me, it's 20 years of practice for lockpicking, but when did you realize you're just better at it than most people? Not going to say like the best in the world, but like, I mean, you are. I watched your video. You picked the lock at DEF CON in like, what, 1 second? But like, when did you realize like, of the average person who starts picking locks, I'm really good at this? And safe cracking.
I don't think I actually am though. So like the you're talking about the DEF CON, the timed one or whatever.
Yeah.
That was really lucky. I mean,
sure, like, but you get lucky a lot, often, and
no. So like nowadays, there are so many talented lockpickers out there. People like Farmer Freak, and then like Lockpicking Lawyer. Then like there's a ton of people like on Reddit and YouTube picking ultra high security locks, things that I can't pick. So I mean, there's definitely better lockpickers out there. They're super talented, but I mean, I don't do it to like for competition. The competitions are fun just because like play with your buddies and see who wins and stuff like that. But I do it more so because they're like little puzzles. You get to figure out these puzzles, and there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into making the locks, and I can like appreciate that perspective. And it's always fun to like break some sort of security thing, right? So kind of like hacking at the same time. So it's that thing that I could probably turn it into a job and make money with it, but I don't want to ruin it.
Right.
But turn it into a freaking job. Right. I already did that with security.
Right.
Yeah.
But like you enter a safe cracking competition on your first run and you win it. I mean, you have to say like I get you're gonna say it's a puzzle, you just want to figure it out, but like you're clearly better at this than I am. Let's just say that. Like, I like puzzles and figuring stuff out, but I get frustrated by locks quick.
That was a kind of a unique experience. I don't know if everything kind of just like lined up. For example, when you're cracking or manipulating a safe, you have to take extremely accurate readings when you graph it. And like all these years, I've been machining different things, so I can see the difference between like 0.002 of an inch is like pretty big. I mean, if I compare something where one's like 2 or 3, well, 3 would be huge, but 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch difference, I can actually kind of like see that, and that's from measuring a lot of different things. Hold on, my screensaver keeps on popping up.
Okay, by the end of this, we're gonna guess your password.
I know. Just from the sound. It's the same Twitter password. But yeah, so yeah, it was that like that super accurate, like being it was just from years of like working with metal and files and using a caliper and kind of building that context of how much movement or whatever to be able to take those accurate readings. And then like picking locks, naturally you kind of develop a feel to be able to fill things. You have to fill for set springs or set pins and springs and different things like that. So everything kind of, it's like, you know what? It's like I finally understand the strategy. And when the Deviant taught me how to do it, he gave a class on it one day, and I was like so hungover from the night before that while he was like giving that class, like all I could do was like cuddle a safe lock for like a solid day. I was sick. I was like, and I just sat there and like played with it probably like 14 hours. And then like at the end of it, I was like, I think I got this. I was like,
so what you're saying is you recommend the path is go get so blasted drunk that you get a cuddle of safe for a day?
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it because it would probably kill a lot of important brain cells there too. But yeah, well, the reason I was so excited from winning the lock picking contest the night before that, that's why I kind of overdid it that night and was like super suffering. In fact, the next morning was the impressioning contest, and I didn't even like attempt to do that. So I like skipped impressioning that year and did the safe cracking, which ended up being super fun.
So I mean, yeah. I hear what you're saying of like you could tell the difference between a hundredth, but that's not, or a thousandth. That's not really normal. Like, I mean, I go to get a bolt to work on something, and I go to get a wrench out of my toolbox, and I pick 3 wrong wrenches before I pick the right wrench, and we're talking basic like, oh, it's just needs to go up to like a 5/8 or something. So I mean, you're a wizard, is what I'm telling you, Lonnie. You're a wizard.
Nah,
I'm not saying there aren't other wizards in the world, but
they're definitely like safe cracking wise, man. There's like some amazing people out there.
So you go to work on your car, and you look at the bolt. You know exactly what bolt that is. You're like, that's an 11 millimeter to the 1,000th.
No. So like, I mean, I could guess. I'm not going to be like incredibly accurate with that. I'm saying when you're taking these readings, you're comparing it to the reading before,
right? If
that makes sense. So I would have to talk you through the strategy, but you have a reference point that you're taking those readings from. And basically, you're dividing it into the 10 or 12 different sections on each number. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of fell in place, and I got the feel for it, and ended up working. So yeah, it's fun. Now I got a bunch of safes I've been working with. I have some ideas like stuff to do with like ESP32s and different things like that. But I want to work with, or I got Mike Weaver or like
nice
Bash Ninja that I'm gonna make him do some stuff and figure some stuff out. So that should be fun too.
Awesome. So my background came from movie theaters, and I started doing a lot of like security awareness training. And I used to always show these movie clips of, this is not real life, this is Hollywood, right? Everything that you know about hacking and PhysSec is typically Hollywood. I changed my training based on you and your DEF CON video of like, nobody can walk up to a door and pick it in like a second. It takes time. And then here's your video, done. And I'm like, well, some people can walk up to a door and pick it in a second. But not me, not most people, but there are these people in the world apparently can just walk up to a door and have it opened in a second. So
yeah, no, it's definitely possible. There's other fast methods too, like you can probably bump it pretty quick. So that specific lock, it was a cheap Chinese clone of a Quickset. So it was like Chinese, like pot metal, like super loose tolerances, like 5 pins, so I had a good idea like what was in it, and then like I've always made my own bogatas. So the tool that I was using is like super polished, and the way that I use a bogata, dang it, is a lot different than other people, how they use bogatas, and some of that came from chatting with Raimundo, getting some ideas, and then like talking to him about some of the finer points of making bogatas and different things like that too.
Awesome.
So,
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've come to a reasonable point of time where I don't want to take too much more of your time. What's anything you want to add at the end? Do you have a store up selling some of your wares? I always ask you because I just want to buy them all. But anything you want to add, or it's your point, your hallway.
No, I'm not. Right now, I'm not selling anything. I should be doing, I have probably about 100, 150 locks that I should be machining, but I kind of go in phases where it's like, yeah, I'll work on this. It sounds fun. Right now, I'm just kind of at a different spot in the hobby, working on other stuff. I did think about making like I did some training for tool, like some of the tool guys as far as like CAD and CAM type things, and it would be like uber easy just to spin up like a lockpick manufacturing company really quick and pop out like a bunch of sets. So it's something I think would be pretty cool. There's this Orem company called OSH Cut. Have you heard of them?
No, sir.
It's pretty sweet. Like you give them the DXF file, and they give you an instant quote on their laser, like right there. So I mean, there's like super fast manufacturing. But then I think it'd be kind of cool to get like a plastic injection machine and create the molds for the handles, and kind of that would be pretty sweet.
Well, anytime you do, you need to give me like right of first refusal because I'll pretty much buy anything you do because your quality is off the chart. Like every time I show, I literally have it on my desk all the time. It's not even a prop. This is your lock right here. And anytime I show people, they're always like, whoa, that's like, I mean, it's good. It's super good. And when you want to explain something of like lockpicks, those clear things have value, but people have a hard time translating that to real stuff, right? Like I can pick clear locks, but then like I can't pick a simple door. And this is that bridge of like, you have a real lock that feels like a real lock, acts like a real lock, and you can cheat. And I might add, it's sexy as hell. I just love these things.
Last year I created a WB Wilson Bohannon cutaway lock, and I only machined a few of them, which I actually need to go through. I need to do another run of those Americans and the WBs because like I don't even have one of my cutaways anymore. Like with these they like people needed them, so they're like gone. But yeah, I need to do another batch. But with the Wilson Bohannon, like I was able to design it so the shear line on the side that it binds against is still there. So like it even feels like a full on lock. Like the shear line's still in there. Like the American looks like super nice and you get it, but when you pick it, it feels completely different than like a real like a full lock that's completely created or like full one piece or whatever.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'm not trying to subscribe you to do something that makes it no longer passion or fun for you. I'm just saying when you do those, I will buy them because they're good. I really like it. So.
Well, thanks, man. That's cool. What have you been up to, man? You were always up to something good.
No, I've just network stages. I just did all of our APs, and now I'm putting in a Palo Alto VM firewall. So that's my free time. Let alone I have a full network visibility tap in my house and monitoring all my IoT devices and seeing all the shadiness they do. But I get it. So I go in those waves too. Like I get really motivated and I'm like, I'm doing this thing and I got this project, and then I'm just like, I don't even want to sit at my computer sometimes, so I just take a laptop and put it on my lap. Like, I don't know, it's funky, but like I'm kind of like using this SAINTCON hallways because like I really like to just sit and talk to people. Like my extrovertedness really enjoys this, And so it's just selfish. I get to chat with you, and maybe some other people might, learn something about you in the process. But I don't know. I just started to interview a bunch of people. It's super, super gratifying to just. It's because we can't do any conferences, Lonnie. Like we're supposed to be like DEF CON right now. Like I'm about ready. I'm supposed to be flying out there for Black Hat. And what am I doing?
Yeah.
Not that. Right? So I'm counting how many times your keyboard.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna know exactly how many characters I got in. Yeah, man, I'm missing the cons. So we've helped out, or tools helped out with like the Layer 8 and then Circle City Con as far as like the lockpicking villages, and they're just completely different. I mean, we have like the chats going on and the sessions, but it's the hallway stuff. I mean, you can like at any time listen to a talk on a conference talk, but man, it's seeing all your buddies.
I'm with you. In fact, even the InfoSec stuff I've learned in the hallway, I think has been as valuable as some of the best talks because they're like, oh yeah, I just use this tool, and you're like, wait, what tool? And I write it down, and then suddenly my next thing I'm doing, I'm using that tool. Like I never even heard of it, and now it's like my go-to, right? Like hallway con, people just give you like good, unbiased opinions. They're not there trying to push anything. It's not polished. I'm thoroughly a fan of HallwayCon. That's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's in Utah. We got like some super uber talented people too.
Right.
That really
like yourself, yes.
It's just super good resources. It's just good to have good friends, good people. It's great. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, hopefully
things will be back.
It was a pleasure to catch up to you. We'll be monitoring your Twitter feeds for all your latest endeavors and your hobbies, and hopefully we can see each other in person soon.
Awesome, man. We'll talk to you later, yo.
All right, peace.
Bye.